Okay, so we are looking at growth in this video. This is only one of two videos left before we get to your test, so it's important that we get this under our belts. So what we're hoping to achieve is we want to understand how businesses are going to grow, we want to define the types of integration, and we want to see the impact of that growth on stakeholders. Now the first two hopefully will come from the PowerPoint, the third one we're going to look at probably in the lesson. So how do businesses grow? Well, they can merge with another business, they can take over another business, and it could be through internal growth. They are the three ways in which businesses grow. So all growth can be classified into one of those ways. So let's take them one at a time. We'll start off with merging. A merger is when two businesses agree to come together and create one larger business. And the key here is the agreement. They both want to do this to survive and be bigger in the market. So the two businesses agree to come together. Normally with a merger, they will keep both names so that when they've merged together, you can still see that it used to be two companies and now it's one company and so on. Because people are agreeing to do this, so it's not as hostile as a takeover, as we'll see in a moment, and obviously it does mean that we could end up with people as jobs being duplicated and so on, but we can deal with that at a later date. Okay, so that leads us to a takeover. Now, as I've already kind of said, a takeover is when one business buys a smaller business and takes control of it. They take it over. That business no longer exists, and people can do that by buying 51% of the shares of a business. The minute you own over 50% of the business is yours. Now, unlike a merger, the smaller business will no longer exist. So it's often seen as a bad thing by the smaller firm. Sometimes takeovers are actually called hostile takeovers because they lose their name, their identity and everything when it's taken over. Mergers, you tend to keep the two names together. Takeover, you lose the identity of the smaller business. Okay, so then that leads us to internal growth. Now, unlike the other two where we're looking at acquiring a business, internal growth is just when the business grows naturally. Okay, so they use their own funds, they might buy another premises, they might buy more stock, they might advertise more, and they just build up their customer base and do it that way. It's probably what you're most likely to consider if we talked about business. That's what they do. They sell some, get some money, reinvest it, sell some more things, reinvest that money, and so on. It doesn't involve buying another business. So because of that, it's going to take longer, and it will require capital for the business to expand. They're going to have to find money to do that. Whether that comes from the sale of some of the goods, or whether it comes from the owners putting in more investments, they will have to find money from somewhere. Now, sometimes you might see this referred to as organic growth. It just means that they are growing at their own pace using their own funds. They're not taking over or merging with other companies. Now, growth is the overarching term, but integration helps us identify different types of growth within that. So it happens with mergers and takeovers, not with organic growth. And there are four types of integration. We've got forwards vertical integration, backwards vertical integration, horizontal integration, and diversification. Okay, there are only four types, and it's all covered by the way in which they move up and down the chain of production. So, as I said, it's related to the chain of production. Forwards and backwards vertical integration is linked to a different business in the chain. So if we talk about the manufacturer in the middle, in the secondary sector, they may buy one of their suppliers from the primary sector, or they may buy one of the retail outlets from the tertiary sector. The point is that it moves up and down the chain of production. Horizontal integration is when you look at another chain of production and you buy a business that's doing exactly the same as you. Now we can see this illustrated. So what we've got is Green King, the brewery based in Bury St Edmunds, in the middle. Okay, if they buy the farmer's farm where the barley is grown to make the beer, that is your backwards vertical integration. If they buy the pub where the beer is sold, for example the Black Tiles, that would be forwards vertical integration. It is going up and down the chain of production, because Farmer Brown's primary, Green King secondary, Black Tiles is tertiary. If they buy a business that does the same as them, then the chain of production is they're on the same level. So if they were to buy Addenham's Brewery in Southwold, that's horizontal integration. Addenham's and Green King do the same thing. Okay, so we can see from that illustration how those three work. Now the fourth one, diversification, is different. It's different in that when a business buys a firm, this time it will do something that they know absolutely nothing about. So it won't be one of their suppliers, it won't be one of their retailers or tertiary sector businesses, and it won't be a business that does the same as them. It will be a business that does something completely different. So if we go back to the example on the previous slide, it would be like Green King then saying they're going to buy Jones the bootmaker. They don't know how to make shoes, they've never made shoes, shoes has got nothing to do with making beer, farming barley, selling beer. It's got nothing to do with that, but it's a completely different market. Now, they do that to spread the risk. If for some reason everyone stopped buying beer, maybe the government made it too expensive, then they would have another business, a shoemaking business, to fall back on. It is a way of helping spread the risk, and that is a key thing when it comes to businesses getting bigger. Okay, that's it. Make sure you've got those definitions down. Don't forget to do the Zondel quiz to do with growth, and have all your notes in your book ready for the lesson on Friday afternoon. I will see you then. Thanks for listening.